I'm going to tell you something that will make you uncomfortable. Every time you get angry, you lose. This isn't an opinion, it's a fact. And yes, you can stay there defending your right to rage, justifying every outburst as if it were a moral victory. But the reality is brutal. While you burn inside, the world keeps turning without you. Every second you spend boiling with anger is a second you give away, that you lose, that you voluntarily hand over to someone who probably doesn't even remember what they did to you. Do you realize how absurd that is? You consume yourself while the other person sleeps peacefully, eats peacefully, lives peacefully, and you stay there, replaying the same scene over and over again, feeding a fire that only burns you. Nikola Tesla understood this in a way few people have. He wasn't a saint. He wasn't an enlightened being floating in the clouds. He was a man who simply decided that his energy was worth more than the emotional circus most people roll around in day after day. While others wasted their time on disputes, resentments, and anger that leads nowhere, Tesla was building the future. Not because he was special, but because he understood something you still haven't accepted. Anger is the most expensive tax you can pay, and all you get in return is the illusion that you defended your pride. Let me ask you something. How many times have you gotten angry in the last month? 10? 20? More? Now think about this. Out of all those times, how many changed anything? How many solved the problem? The answer is none, because anger solves nothing. It only prolongs the problem, amplifies it, turns it into something bigger than it really is. You get trapped in a loop where the offense repeats itself over and over in your head, and each repetition drags you down a little more. Meanwhile, life goes on, opportunities pass by, and you stay there, stuck on something that stopped mattering a long time ago. Tesla said he couldn't afford the luxury of getting angry. Not because he was weak, but because he knew his time was finite. Every minute invested in anger was a minute less to create, to think, to move forward. And here's the part no one tells you. Anger is not a spontaneous emotion. It's a choice. Yes, a choice. Every time you get angry, you are choosing to give power to something or someone. You are choosing to let that situation, that person, that moment have more value than your peace of mind. And the worst part is that you do it believing it's your right, that it's your natural response, that it's the only way to react. But it isn't. Anger is the poison you drink, hoping the other person will die. Marcus Aurelius wrote it centuries ago, and it's just as true today. Every time you get angry, the only one who suffers is you. The other person can be anywhere, unaware, indifferent, not even knowing you're still boiling inside. But you're there, with a racing heart, high blood pressure, a tense body, unable to focus on anything else. And for what? To defend an ego that isn't worth what you think it is. Here comes what you don't want to hear. Most of the things that bother you have nothing to do with the other person. They have to do with you. With your unmet expectations, your need for control, your inability to accept that the world doesn't revolve around you. You get angry because you expected something and it didn't happen. You get angry because you believed someone should act a certain way and they didn't. You get angry because you feel attacked, even though most of the time the attack exists only in your head. People aren't thinking about you as much as you think they are. They aren't conspiring to ruin your day. They're too busy with their own problems, their own insecurities, their own internal battles. But you take it personally, and that's where the problem begins. Tesla didn't get angry because he understood that anger is a distraction, and distractions are expensive. While you're busy raging over something insignificant, you lose sight of what really matters. You give up your energy, your mental clarity, your ability to act intelligently. Anger makes you predictable, makes you weak, turns you into a slave to your emotions. And whoever doesn't control their emotions controls nothing. But here's the trap. You've been taught that getting angry is valid, that it's a way to defend yourself, to set boundaries, to earn respect. A lie. Respect isn't earned through emotional explosions. It's earned through consistency, firmness, and the ability to stay calm when everyone around you is losing their head. The one who shouts the loudest isn't the strongest, but the most desperate. The one who remains calm in the middle of chaos is the one who truly has control. Epictetus made it clear, it's not things themselves that disturb us, but the interpretation we make of them. Every time you get angry, it's not because of what happened, but because of how you chose to interpret it. That's where your power lies, not in changing what happens, but in changing how you process it. And most people don't even know they have that power. They live reacting automatically, as if they had no other option, as if anger were inevitable. But it isn't. Think about the last time you got angry. Now think about how you felt afterward. Empty, exhausted, probably regretful. And the most ironic part is that nothing changed. The problem was still there, but now with the added weight of your own toxicity. Because that's what anger is. Toxic for you, for those around you, for any possibility of resolving something intelligently. Anger closes doors, breaks bridges, pushes people away. And the worst part is that you do it believing you're right, that you have reasons to be angry. But even if you do, what do you gain? Satisfaction? Justice? No. Just more anger, more resentment, more poison. Tesla worked in his laboratory, surrounded by people who didn't understand him, who criticized him, who even sabotaged him. And yet he didn't waste time on emotional confrontations. Not because he was indifferent, but because he knew his mission was bigger than any insult, any betrayal, any attempt to destabilize him. While others got lost in insignificant fights, he was building systems that would change the world. That's the difference between someone who controls their anger and someone who is controlled by it. One moves forward, the other stagnates. Here's what no one tells you. Anger is a luxury you can't afford. Not because you're better than others, but because you have more important things to do. Every time you choose not to get angry, you're choosing your peace, your clarity, your ability to act intelligently. You're choosing not to be a slave to your impulses. And that is real power. But don't get confused. Not getting angry doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean letting people walk all over you, abuse you, or disrespect you. It means responding from clarity, not impulse. It means knowing when to act and when to walk away. It means understanding that most battles aren't worth fighting, and that the ones that are worth it are fought better with a cool mind than a burning heart. Seneca explained it this way: anger is a brief madness. And it's true. When you get angry, you lose control. You say things you don't mean. You do things you normally wouldn't. You become someone you don't recognize. And afterward, when everything passes, you ask yourself why you reacted that way. The answer is simple: because you let emotion take control. And when emotion controls, reason disappears. Most people live like this, jumping from one anger to another, from one explosion to the next, without realizing they're destroying themselves. They think they're defending their dignity, but all they're doing is giving it away. Because every time you explode, you lose credibility. Every time you give in to anger, you show that you don't have control, and the world doesn't respect those who lack control. Tesla understood that energy is limited. You can't waste it on fights that don't matter, on people who aren't worth it, on situations you can't change. The key is learning to filter. Not everything deserves your attention, and definitely not everything deserves your anger. Most of the things that upset you are so insignificant that you won't even remember them in a week. So why give them so much power in the moment? Here's the brutal truth. You get angry because you don't know how to process frustration. You get angry because you expect the world to adjust to you, and when it doesn't, you react. But the world isn't going to change. People aren't going to behave the way you want. Things aren't always going to turn out how you expect. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll stop suffering over nonsense. Anger is an illusion of control. It makes you feel like you're doing something, like you're defending yourself, like you're taking action. But in reality, you're doing nothing. You're just reacting, and reaction is not action. Action requires intention, clarity, purpose. Anger is the opposite of that. It's chaos, noise, wasted energy. Think about this. How many opportunities have you missed because you were too busy being angry? How many relationships have you destroyed because you couldn't control your temper? How much time have you wasted replaying offenses that no longer matter? The answer probably scares you, because when you do the math, you realize anger has cost you more than you imagine. Tesla didn't have time for that. His mind was focused on solving problems, creating solutions, moving forward. And you don't have time either, even if you think you do. Time is the most valuable resource you have. And every second you dedicate to anger is a second you lose forever. You don't get it back. You don't undo it. It simply disappears. Here comes the uncomfortable part. Anger defines you. If you live getting angry, that's what you are, an angry person. And no one wants to be around an angry person. You push away the people who care about you. You push away opportunities. You push away any chance of peace. You become toxic, and the worst part is that you don't even realize it. You think you have reasons that your anger is justified, but at the end of the day, all you're left with is loneliness. Buddha put it brutally. Holding on to anger is like holding a burning coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. And it's true. While you burn, the other person moves on. While you consume yourself, the other person doesn't even remember what happened. Anger only destroys you, never the other. So how do you never get angry? It's not a trick, not a magical technique. It's a decision. It's choosing every time you feel anger rising to stop and ask yourself, is this worth my peace? The answer, 99% of the time, is no. And when you accept that, when you understand that your peace is more valuable than any offense, any insult, any attempt to destabilize you, you'll stop getting angry. Tesla wasn't perfect, but he understood something fundamental. True power isn't in force, it's in calm. The one who stays serene while everyone else loses their head is the one who wins. Not because they're stronger, but because they see clearly what others can't. Anger clouds the mind. Calm clears it. And in a world where everyone is angry, the one who remains calm has an enormous advantage. Here's the key. Anger is a habit, and like any habit, it can be broken. Every time you choose not to get angry, you break that pattern. At first it's hard, because you're used to reacting a certain way. But over time, it gets easier. And one day you'll realize you don't get angry like you used to. That the things that once drove you crazy barely even touch you. It's not about repressing what you feel. It's about processing it intelligently. You acknowledge the emotion, observe it, and then let it go. You don't cling to it, you don't feed it, you don't give it the power to control you. You simply let it pass, like a cloud in the sky. It comes, stays for a moment, and leaves. That's it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You can lose all peace of mind by worrying about things that may never happen." And the same applies to anger. You can lose all your peace by getting angry over things that don't matter, over people who aren't worth it, over situations you can't change. Or you can choose peace. The decision is yours. It always has been. Tesla chose it. He chose his peace, his clarity, his refusal to waste energy on battles that didn't matter. And that choice led him to build things that changed the world. Not because he was an unreachable genius, but because he understood something most people never do. Anger is an enemy disguised as an ally. It makes you feel strong, but it weakens you. It makes you feel justified, but it destroys you. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Are you willing to let go of anger? Can you live without that explosion you think you need? Because here's the final truth. You don't need it. You never did. Anger is optional. It always was. And the day you accept that, the day you decide that your peace is worth more than any offense, that day you'll start truly living. Without chains, without poison, without the weight of resentment, free. If you made it to the end of the video, comment, "I don't repress myself," and I'll personally reply to you. And if this resonated with you, subscribe to be part of it, and leave a like if you enjoyed it. See you next time.